Hi everyone, how are you feeling today? I'm Dr. Annie here. So today we're going to look at a new topic called Introduction to Arrays. Now, what is an array? Okay, you can read on my slide. An array is a collection, okay, a collection of variables of the same type. Okay, you have an array with a collection of variables of the same type. So, and then they are referred by a common name. So we learn in chapter 2, basic introduction to programming, what are the types of data, if you can recall. So you have integer, and then you can have floating point or float, or you can have double. These are refers to values that has in decimal places. And then you have character. You can also have string, and you can have boolean expression. So integer refers at int, float you can use float, or you can also use double, char for character, string, char with a star here, refer to the string, and boolean, bool. Okay, so these are the types of data, right? Now array is a collection of variable of the same type, so it has to be in the same type. Okay, so for instance, an integer array holds some number of integer, a character array holds some number of character, and so on. The size of the array is referred to as its dimension. Okay, so array size is known as a dimension. So if you have a one-dimensional array, is equivalent to a vector. Okay, and two-dimensional array is equivalent with a matrix. Okay, let's move on to one-dimensional array. So we're going to look at a collection of vector. So one-dimensional array is also known as vector. A vector V of size n has n element defined as follow. So this is assuming this is vector n. Okay, you have a vector n in the size. So put a transpose here. Okay, so this is a vector n. Okay, so to declare an array in C++, the programmer specifies the type of element and the number of elements required by an array. An array uses a declaration statement that includes the type of value to be stored. Okay, you need to know the type. Like I said, there are a few types just now. You have integer, floating, character, boolean. Okay, and the name of the array, you need to define the name of the array or the variable name, and the number of element, which is also known as the size. So for instance, this is how to declare an array. You have type, array name, and array size. So maybe I'll write it here. You have type, array name, and this is the size. Okay, so if you have a type integer, so give a name. Okay, let's say grade. Now size 2. Okay, so this is the array name grade, is an integer, and the dimension is, which is the size, is 2. So another example here, if you look at here, this is the example of score of 4 students in programming language course. So these are the scores for 4 students. Okay, so M is, you have this set of data. So how to define the array? So I have integer, this is the type, and then I have score as the array name, and this is my size. Okay, this is how you declare an array. And then you have to put all these values here. So start with 0, score 0, 85, score 1, 82, score 2, 78, score 3, 76. Or you can also write it in this form. Okay, so this is also acceptable in C++. Okay, let's move on. how to access an array? The element of an array can be accessed by specifying array name followed by subscript or index inside square bracket. Okay, for instance, just now we have score 0 equals to 85. So this is what we mean by we access. So the first element in this data, the given data, 85, what's the next? 82, 78, 76. Okay, so to access the first element here, you can write it as score bracket 0, 85. Okay, so it followed by subscript or index inside the square bracket. So if I want to access the third element, score 0, 1, 2 to 78 and so on. Okay, array index start with 0, which means the first array element is at the index 0. Okay, always start with 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have score, the third one. I'm referring to the fourth element here, but it will be 378 as well. Okay, now move on. This is how I've said earlier, accessing an array. Okay, integer score 4. So this is how I access. So I'm looking to the element regarding the fourth element in my data. Okay, so the first element refer to 0, second element refer to 1, third element refer to 2, and fourth element score 3. So index score here actually is referred to the fifth element. Okay, fifth element. You can initialize an array with the simple statement. Okay, initialize is very important. Okay, integer score 4 here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. The number values between the braces, the number value cannot be larger than the number of element. So I have 4 element here, so this is 4. Okay, so we declare the array between the square bracket. So for this, for instance, you don't know the size, you can also leave it empty here. So what is empty here means? Omitting the size of array is also possible where the array is assumed to be big enough to hold the initialization created. You don't have to provide an array size if you have initializer list, and C++ will just count the number of element in the list. Okay, or you can initialize individually like I said earlier on. Okay, so to process array we can use while or for loop. Okay, let's look at this code here. Code 4.1 displays some element and as declared in the array using a while loop. Okay, so this is the score of the grade earlier on. Okay, this is array name, this is the size, and you have the type here. Type. So I'm pretty sure the data is given as this, right? So you have 85, 82, 78, 76. Okay, so I'm going to initialize my array first by saying score 0, my first element is 85. This is my first element. And then score 1, 82 refer to my second element. Score 2, 78 refer to my third element. And then score 3, 76 refer to my fourth element. Okay, now how can I produce the output for it? Okay, so I'm using a while loop here, while n less than 4. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can write it like this, or I can have while n less or equals than 3. Okay, and then you need to have the open and close curly bracket. Cout. Okay, this is to display the output. Okay, so what we have, score n. Okay, start with initial n is 0. It's an integer, so the type is integer. So when n is 0, 0 less than 4. This is a true statement. So go to this loop here, score 0, which is 85. So it will produce 85. And then plus 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. Go to the loop here, 1 less than 4, which is a true statement. Score 1. Score 1 is 82. And then plus 1, 2. 2 less than 4. Score 2, which is my 78. Okay. And then plus 1, 3 less than 4. Score 3, which is 76. And then n, 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 less than 4. This is a false statement. Okay, 4 less than 4 is a false statement, so it will end the loop. Stop. Okay, this is how you display some element declared in array using a while loop. Obviously, I can also change this while loop to a for loop. Okay, let's find the average score. Average score. Okay, to do that, I want to show you in my C++ code. Okay, so open your C++. So you want to find the average score. So go to File, New Project. Okay, console 32. I'm going to write it code for 2. Okay, next. Click on empty project and then finish. Okay, and then what you do, wait for it to finish. Okay, go to the source file. Go to source file. Right click, add new item. C++ code for 2. Okay, add. Okay, so the goal is to, so let's write what we want to do. We want to find the average score of grades. Okay, this is what we want to do. We want to find the average score of the grades. Now, if you look at the given data, m equals to, if I'm not mistaken, we have 85. 85, let's put a curly bracket. And then we have 82, and then we have 78 and 76. Okay, doesn't matter if your data is not same with the one I've shown. Just this is to make sure that we are doing it correctly. Okay, now what you do here, you want to find the average score for this grade. So let's have include iOS stream. Include iOS stream. Okay, and then we need, what else we need? We don't have to define anything yet. So using namespace std semicolon void main. Okay, and then open curly bracket, close curly bracket. Okay, that's it. So what we do now, okay, we want to declare integer. Now to declare the integer just now, we put it the name as score. Integer score, the dimension is 4, and these are the element. Okay, so we can do it like this, where we have 85, 82, 78, 76. Okay, so we have integer score. Now what else we have? Okay, so I don't know why there's a red line here. It say expecting a semicolon. Yeah, okay, semicolon. Okay, so we have declared this, and then we have also integer I or n. Okay, I want to put n equals to 0. Okay, and then use a while loop. While n less than 4. Okay, and don't forget my open curly bracket and close curly bracket. Okay, everything in here, you're gonna display cout score n endl, and then n plus plus. Okay, what do we have next? I think that's it. So don't forget to pause the result or the output. We have cin.get. Okay, so this is the code that I want to show earlier on. This code here will display all the score of the student. Okay, but not yet. We are not finding the average yet. Just run the code and see if it's work. Okay, there you go. So you have display all the grades here. Okay, now what I want to do, the next one is to find the average. Okay, find the average. So what is the average? Total score divided by the sum of the score divided by the number of element, which is 1 2 3 4. Okay, so this is where we want to find another loop here. So for I equals to 0, I less than n, or less equal than n. Okay, then I plus plus. Okay, so there's an underline I here, meaning I have to define my integer I somewhere here. So put I comma. Okay, integer I comma. Okay, now what we do here, we want to find the total. Put a curly bracket. Okay, so sum plus equals to score I. Okay, so what here? So this will find the average score. Start from 0 until n. What is n? Okay, did I define? Okay, I haven't defined n is what, but it's gonna refer to my n here and start from 0, less than 0. So I need to define my n. So what can I do here? Maybe you want to define n equals to 4 or start with 0. Okay, let's just leave it there for a while. Okay, so sum here we need to define the sum type, the type of sum here. So let's put a double sum equals to 0. Okay, you need to have initialize for sum, and then don't forget average also. Average. Okay, so once you have that, now you can find the total sum, and then you find the average outside the loop. Average equals to sum divide by n. Okay, there you go, and you can display some cout that says the average score is what is it? Average. Okay, ENDL. Okay, I think that's it. What else we need? Don't forget to have, I missed something. I need to have a curly bracket here and here. Do I need a curly bracket actually? Okay, so I think we don't need a curly bracket here. Okay, we don't need it. Okay, this is what happened here. Okay, so in this for loop here, it will create the sum of up to n up to 4. You already define n is less than 4, and then whatever we have, the value here from 0 1 2 3 4, which I've defined here. Okay, it's actually less than 4, so up to 3. So 0 1 2 1 2 3, and then it will find the average. Okay, let's try to run it and see if we can get the solution. There you go. So the average score is 80.25. Okay, it's very simple as that. So I can modify this code. Maybe I can put something here. Okay, before the while loop, or maybe here, cout the grade, the score. What I want to say, the score of grades are Okay, just to make it nicer. Okay, the score of grades are, and then you will have all the score, and then you can have the average. Oops, now what's the problem here? Because I put it inside the loop. Okay, so I put it inside the while loop, so every iteration is gonna come up with my average score. So the best way is to put it outside the loop, or I can put it before, outside this while loop. Okay, let's try what happens if you observe this thing here. Okay, infinite loop. Okay, you have an infinite loop, so just terminate it. Okay, just close it. So if you put it here, you will have an infinite loop, so it will satisfy the condition, but then it will non-going. So there you go. This is the best spot to put it, before the while loop here. Okay, so first it will display the score of grades are, and then inside the loop it will give you all the 4 values, and then it will calculate the average. Okay, so this is how to find the score of grades, the average score of the grades. Now look at here, instead of the data type we use, we have float. You can also use double. Now the other thing that we want to know is what happens if I change this double to integer. Just to play around with your code. Okay, so we know the average has some decimal places, so if you put an integer here, you will have 80, not accurate. It will give you the solution as 80 instead of 80.25. So it's very important for you to decide the type of data. Okay, it's very important for you to decide the type of the proper type of data. Okay, since we are doing C++, I want to show one more thing. Beside finding the average, because we are looking at one-dimensional array, which is a vector, how do you find the sum and product of a vector? Okay, you want to find the sum and product of a vector. So file, let's open a new project. So I will name it as code 43. Okay, just now it's 42. Okay, I already have 43 in my folder, so I'm going to put 43A. Okay, so next, empty project. Source file, add new item, C++, code 43A. Okay, so in this code we want to find the sum and dot product of vectors. Okay, this is what we want to do today. So start with include iOS stream using namespace std, and then we have void main, okay, and open curly bracket, close curly bracket. Okay, so what are the vector that we want to look at? So maybe I have it in my slide. Let's look at my slide. Okay, so this is what we want to do. Okay, so we want to find the dot product of the vector here. If you look at my output here, this is my U 255. So you have 255, and then V 2 minus 4 8, and then W here is the sum of U plus V. That's my W. Okay, and then we have the dot product. Okay, if you forgot your dot product, it should be u1 v1 plus u2 v2 plus and so on. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so go back to my, so u is 255, so let's put it here, u 255, and what is my v? My v is, I forgot, so I gotta check back again. 2 minus 4, 8. And then we have the w. W is the sum of u plus v. Okay, so now you have to declare your type. So let's put a double u. What's the size? What's the size you wanna do it? What's the size? 3 plus 1. So if I look at here, you have 3. So 1, 2, 3, right? So I'm going to put n3 plus 1. Okay, so 3 plus 1. And since 3 is common here, so let's define n here. Define, don't forget, define big N, 3. Okay, so I have n plus 1, and then I have v n plus 1, and I have w n plus 1. Okay, w is a small w. Okay, this is the type double. And then what else we have? Okay, so I want to initialize all my u, v, and n. So we can start do that. u1 equals to 2. Okay, u2 equals to 5. u3 equals to, now there's a problem here. The problem here is I want to, my element, I always start with 0, right? So I want to put it as 0, 1, 2. Okay, so I don't have to have n plus 1. I can just put it as n. Okay, 0, 1, 2, that's my u, and then I have v, which is 2, v0, which is 2. Now, if there's a problem, we can fix it later on. Don't worry about it. 1, which is minus 4. v2 equals to 8. 8. Okay, there you go. We have all this element here defined. Okay, 0, 2. Now, it's taking too much space, so you don't have to put a space here. You can actually continue something like this. Okay, so just to manage the space. Okay, now how can I display all this value? So I have C out. I want to type u slash t, and then you have v slash t. So what I'm doing here, let me just type it and then I'll explain to you. W slash t. Okay. Okay, what am I doing here? So what I'm doing here, if you look at my output here, I'm producing this character u, v, w, and slash t will give you the empty space here. Okay, so that's what I am doing. Okay, now to display, to produce this element, you need a for loop for I equals to 0. Okay, I equals to 0. I less than big N, less than equal than N. It's not N actually, because my N is not 3 then. Now N is 2, right? Because I have up to 2 here, so N is 2. Okay, and then you have I plus plus. Okay, and then you have okay, how to find the sum. Okay, so before you find the sum, you know what is W? WI plus. Okay, WI, or just WI, UI plus VI. Okay, this is WI. Okay, W is the sum of U plus V. Okay, so WI equals to UI plus VI. Now I, there's a red bracket, red underline I here, show that we haven't declared the integer I. So do it up here, int I. Okay, it's an integer. And then what we have here, we want to produce the output. So C out, I have U, I, okay, and then you have slash T, and then I have VI tab slash T, which is my tab, and then I have WI tab. Okay, that's it, I guess. So you have ENDL. So that's to produce my this part here, U, V, and W. So let's check if we got it right. Okay, so if this is correct, when I is 0, so I have W0 will be U0, which is this one, 2, plus V0, V0, okay, and then it will N plus 1, 1, U1 plus V1, and then plus another one will be 2. So I have, so my N is 2. Okay, correct? Let's see the output for this. So don't forget cin dot get, so that you will have the output will be pause. Okay, or hold the output. Let's see what we have here. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Okay, so we have U, V, W. You have all this data, which is correct, right? 5 plus minus 4 is 1. 8 plus 5 is 13. Okay, looking good. Now the next part is we want to find the dot product. Okay, what is the dot product? Dot product is the summation. So we can call it any variable. Let's use it z plus equal ui multiply with vi. Okay, this is the dot product. This is the, earlier on we did the sum of vector u plus v. Okay, so we need to initialize z. Now z is also an integer, but you need to initialize the z because you have a summation here. So z equals to 0. Okay, that will do. And then I want to print out. So if you put it inside the loop, what happened? That's not dot product. Dot product means you add everything first, and then you will have the output. So C out should be after the loop. So C out, the dot product is given by, okay, which is my Z, E, and D, L. That's it. Okay, and then run the code. 24. Okay, so that's exactly what we should get for according to my declaration here. Okay, so slightly different from my code here. So I use n plus 1 when n is defined as 3 because my u start from 1. Okay, but if you look at here, we can start with 0. So if you use 0 here, Okay, and then you don't have to worry about this n plus 1 here. Okay, what happen if I have n plus 1? I mean, there's no wrong. You're telling the size of the element is you're saying the element is 3. Okay, that's what it happened here. So let me just run it and see. There's no problem of doing that. Okay, so this is how you find the dot and summation. I mean, not the sum and dot product of a vector. Okay, so let's look at what I said in my slide here. Okay, so these arrays consist of element u, n, w, and so on. N is 3. The array size is small, and the name of to store this data is known as static memory allocation. We'll look at that more later on. Okay, passing array as a function parameters. So the syntax for passing an array to a function. So you'll have return type, function name, data type, array type, size. Okay, for instance, to pass an array to a function, so I will have return type, which is void, function name total, int is a data type, array name is marks or score, and the size. So here we have passed an integer type array name grade to a function total, which is the size of 4. So why this is important? Okay, so let's look at this code here. Let's look at this code 4.4. So this is this is where we have a function here. Function which is the return type is void. Okay, total is the function name, and then integer here is a type, and this is the array name, marks, array name, and the size is 5. Okay, so instead of calculating the total marks, so what we want to do here, we can type it as a function here. Okay, so we can do it as a function. So displaying marks, so produce this part here. So integer I from 0 to less than 5. Okay, so the student number 1 plus 1. So you don't have to do 1 plus 1 actually, just start from 1. Okay, start from 1. Okay, and then make it 6. How many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I less than 6. Okay, so student 1, this is just I, will produce mark 1. But what is mark 1? We haven't defined it, so that's why we need to use a function for that. Okay, so here this is the part where the function total is used for the array type marks. Okay, so it will just recall it, and then end the loop when I is 2, mark 3, mark 4 up to 5 less than 6, 5, and then it will end, and then this is your return void here. So it will return this return type void here to this void main function here. Okay, and then what happened? You will have int marks. Okay, int marks. Okay, put 6 here. Okay, so we have 85, 76, 90. So I think instead of, you can use 5 just now, so let's make it less or equal than 5 and make it 5, because there's a 5 element here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 element. Okay, so stick it to 5. So, and then you can also put total mark. So instead of putting another loop, it will just display all these one by one. So this is how you display all the marks for 5 students. Okay, by using a function called total. Okay, so I think that's all. I would like to stop for one-dimensional array. So in my next video, I'll show you how to write a code for two-dimensional array. So two-dimensional array is your matrix. So what can you do with the matrix? So you can find a matrix multiplication, you can find the inverse of a matrix, which is pretty big code to find the inverse. You can find the average score of a matrix and so on. Okay, so that's all for today. So I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye for now.